Hi, welcome to the Market Alert for Tuesday, the 15th of November 2016. So yesterday, not the best of days to say the least. And as I've said before many times in the Market Alert, there are certain days that come along at about every 6 months or so. And it's just a good kick-in, just to remind us that we're not in charge of making profits on the odd day. Now, on Saturday, I recorded the Market Alert, then posted it, and then I received a question. And the question was, do you expect for next week sideways? Will interest rates cause a huge issue with the housing market? And as I replied here, lots of central banker activity this next week. US interest rates decision is mid-December, so we'll expect some sort of a sideways phase. And that's precisely what we got during yesterday's session. The market moving higher initially and then selling off and then trying to come back and da-di-da-di-da. I mean, I don't have to go through every individual trade, but if you'd have traded every single one to the end of the session, it was a 97-point loss. But by the first part of the session, you should have had a clue that the market was going to remain sideways, and that's precisely what it did throughout. And that's because we're in a situation where the honeymoon of Trump being elected, which is a week ago today, which is quite amazing, or a week tomorrow morning for UK time, that the market is now taking on board that they have a new president and not particularly the one Wall Street wanted. So the market's sort of stuck in this sideways range, and no doubt is going to remain this way, with the odd exception, unless something comes out of the blue to move the market to the downside in this sort of sideways range, trying to keep it on the highs until Yellen makes a decision on what you're going to do with interest rates in December. Now, that's a month away. I don't think we'll see it trade for a month in the sideways range. There will be some sort of reality check. And also there's the problem with the bond market, and if you haven't seen the video I recorded on Saturday about that, then have a look at that as well. So with this backdrop of uncertainty, even though they've got the new Trump, the trouble is he's never been in office. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's obviously riots and protests and all sorts going on at the moment. But this is like sort of, I wouldn't call it a relief rally. It's a manipulated move to keep the market on the highs, and that's what you're seeing during yesterday. If you have a look at the daily chart, let me just switch charts now. Let me just go to the daily, and you can see there the market is starting to get into this sideways move. There's nothing to drive the market higher now because we've had the big news. Trump is in, and the market is starting to what's known as consolidate and trade sideways. And you can see this because the volume's dropping off as well, which is always an indication that the market has run out of steam, and also news to drive it higher when there's no fundamentals to drive it higher. And speaking of news, yesterday one or two said that the news didn't appear in the software when we saw in Monday's alert that there was ECB banker speaking at 4:30. Draghi was going to speak, and it didn't turn up in mine either, and that's the first time ever that that's happened. I will get Paul to have a look at that, but I don't know why that actually happened during yesterday's market activity. But news-wise today, what have we got at 3 p.m? Let's have a quick look. There's nothing out at 3 p.m. All the news is out beforehand, and then Fisher's going to speak at 6:30 p.m. Now, today is Tuesday, and as yesterday was sideways, the market didn't know what it was doing. That's normally a Tuesday's type of activity. So today we could see a bit more activity, or we could see a continuation of this sideways move. And the only way to gauge that is when the market opens in the first 5 or 10 minutes and look at the range of the price bars. Uncharted territory, not an excuse, it is. We've never had somebody that's been elected who nobody wanted elected, or really didn't want to vote for him, but they had no choice. It is uncharted territory. It's an unknown quantity, and like everybody, we're trying to decide whether it's good or bad. But it certainly is what it is. He's there. So it's going to take a moment or two for the markets to take on board the reality that he is going to be President of the United States. And again, the markets are going to have to decide on this. Say you've got all these other peripheral issues as well of the bonds and how they're reacting to the US dollar as well. So certainly interesting times there. Also, other news, Deutsche Bank continues to move higher. Staggering, really. I mean, this is just blatant manipulation. I mean, it's still waiting for the fine from the Department of Justice in the US. I mean, that's sort of some move over the last few weeks. It really is. Well, from the low of 9.91 all the way up to 15.31 yesterday. It's just blatant manipulation. I mean, it's got problems, and yet the market continues to move this share price to the upside. Also, the Italian banks as well, also starting bail-ins as well by using junior shares or something I read yesterday as well. So again, there's things coming in the background that are going to really have an impact on the stock market and put pressure on the downside. And that is also indicated by the implied volatility at 11.86 as well. Turning up a bit from Friday, which was 11.68 if I recall. So again, down in these lows, there's plenty of room for a move to the downside, but it's how much they want to hold it on the highs at the moment as Obama finishes off his tenure as President of the United States. So yeah, difficult one to call at the moment. And again, the only advice I can give is that we can expect a lot more sideways at the moment, unless something comes out of the blue that moves the market. But yeah, difficult one to call. Like I say, the best thing, the benchmark you've got is the first 10 to 15 minutes, and that's if the market's sideways with those sorts of bars up and down with a range of 30 to 40 points or less, then it's going to be fairly sideways or consolidate before it can actually break out. And there's no momentum to move the market at the moment. That's the problem. You get the signals, but there's nothing to back the signal up. There's no buying, there's no movement, there's no momentum, and that is the problem. We do need that momentum. It's been brilliant up until yesterday. All of the trades for the last 2 months have been brilliant. There's no doubts about that. But there is one day that comes along just to remind us that we're not a reality check, that it isn't always as we want it to be. And I've given you the reasons of why I believe that is the case at the moment. So that's as much as I can tell you at the moment. I will be watching this afternoon. We'll send a note to try and give you a few pointers. So other than that, as ever, thanks for your support, also for watching, and I shall see you in tomorrow's Market Alert.